Hey there, friends. My name's Matthew. I'm the C# artisan, and this is the 7th video in my series on sending email with SendGrid. In the last video, number 6, we looked at the SendGrid template designer, and we saw how you can use SendGrid to develop professional quality HTML email templates. Now in this video, we're going to adapt our C# sender code to use the lovely template that we developed. And just like before, where we began in Postman looking at the REST API, we'll do the same thing. We will look at how the REST API works for sending a template, and then we'll port it over into C# and see how we would do the same thing in our procedural code. All right, so let's send some messages using templates. Here we are in Postman looking at some of the JSON we used earlier for sending a message. And just to review, you'll notice that our JSON body for the v3 mail send endpoint looks like this. We've got a from, which is one of our verified single senders. We have a subject, which can contain some substitution strings. We have the content of the messages. We're setting it to text HTML, and then we are supplying the HTML right here. And then we have our array of personalizations. And in this case, I only have one. But the idea is if you're sending to multiple recipients, you'd have multiple personalizations, and each one would have its own set of substitutions. So this will send a single message to Valerie Lopez, filling in these values here in the subject and in the message body. So if we want to use that lovely template that we designed in the last video, how would we do that? So here is the comparable JSON for using a template. And what you'll notice is we no longer supply a subject and we no longer supply a body. That's handled by the template. Instead, we supply the template ID, which we took note of in the template designer. Then in the personalizations, you'll notice we can use the same kind of data if we want. And the main difference is we no longer have to worry about using asterisks or percentages or some other way to keep these substitution strings from clashing with your boilerplate text, because they're no longer treated as substitution strings. They actually are more like fields that get filled in with that double braces or handlebar syntax in the template. So if we went ahead and sent this, it would work and we'd get a really nice message. And I already sent one and I've got it here up in a mailbox. So let me just show it to you. So here you can see it's got the message subject with the data filled in and the pre-header, and then the message body. And if we open this up, you can see the mail based on the template. Dear Lucinda, with all of these values filled in. So this looks really nice. And we have sent a message with our template. So now let's go to C# and see how we change our C# code to go from explicit HTML body to messages using templates. So here is some code that I put together for a simple send example that kind of brings a lot of things together in one place. And just to review, first, you create your SendGrid client, then you start a message. And what we did before was we set the subject and the HTML content. Then we created a string dictionary of substitutions. We started, in this case, since we only have one personalization, just set the to and create the personalization, giving it the to on the to's property and the substitutions using the string dictionary. And then we send it. So that's how we would send it without a template. So here is the same C# code adapted to use a template. And you'll notice once again in the message, same thing. we no longer need to set the subject or the body. We can just specify the template. And then there's another subtle but important change. Our substitutions, our template data, now is a dictionary of string to object, which is interesting because here, for example, for appointment date, we can use an actual date time, not just a string. So we called this template data, and then when we built our personalizations, instead of setting substitutions, we set template data, and that will go ahead and send. So I can run this code. Let's go ahead and run it. And there's our breakpoint. So we can just step through it, right? Create a client, start a message, make the dictionary, create an address, set a personalization, and go ahead and send. And we should get a status code of accepted, 202. All right, so that is your little C# demo. Now, one thing I do want to point out, the fact that you can use basically strongly typed, right, objects here, like a date or a Boolean or a double, or even an object, that creates an interesting question, which is how is SendGrid going to format that? How is it going to turn it into a string? So let's say that you are dealing with a Boolean value. What SendGrid is going to do is it's going to display either true or false, lowercase t, lowercase f. That's just what it does, and there's not much you can do about it. So if, for example, you wanted that to be yes or no or some other kind of representation of the Boolean, you're going to have to handle it here when you construct your dictionary. Similarly, if you give it, say, a floating point number, like a double or a float, which is 33 1/3, it's going to display 33.3333333332. I don't remember exactly how many digits, but you don't get the chance over on the SendGrid template side to truncate it or round it or format it. So once again, you'll have to handle that here. The one exception is dates. So by default, SendGrid is going to display this date in ISO 8601 format, which you're used to probably from seeing JSON that looks like that. And that is almost surely not what you want in the middle of your message. So SendGrid does provide a way for you to format dates over on the template side. So let me just take a sec and show you how to do that. So here we are in SendGrid, and let's look at our appointment reminder template, and we can go look at reminder v2. And what you'll notice is we have this string here, appointment date. So we have to now modify that, and we're going to use a special 3-part syntax, and I have some notes here. So the first thing is we do format date, which is a function. We're essentially telling SendGrid, okay, run the format date function. The first parameter that goes into the function is the actual date, and then you're going to tell it what date format to use, your custom date format. So where are those stored? Those are actually stored in your data dictionary, in the substitution dictionary. So if we go to the preview tab and we show test data, right now it's formatting the date as blank because we haven't given it a format. But if we add that, my date format, and if we define it, so let's say we do DMMM now it should what's it doing? So now we should be able to preview it. Why is it not working? Do I have to refresh this in some way? Let me save my changes. Test data is not valid JSON. What? Oh, I missed a comma. So sorry. There we go. Okay. It's still not doing what I thought. So I think I need to go back. What have I? My test date format. There we go. Your appointment with Dr. D'Angelo is on the 15th of August, 2025. So that's just a little something to keep in mind with, at least with dates. And of course, you can always do your own date formatting here in your C# code, which is basically what I had done before to create that test message that looked correct. So it's really easy to switch from supplying your own HTML now to using a template. It actually makes this rather easy. So there you've got it. From end to end, setting up a template and sending messages in SendGrid using a template. Hey there, C# friends. Are you enjoying these videos and finding them helpful? I hope so. And if you are, please go ahead and like the video on YouTube. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and feel free to leave a comment. I would love to hear from you.